Erin Tyler.
I'm Hallie Tyler.
And we are
the Scribbler Sisters.
Today we're talking about representation in literature and what that means for various stories you might be reading or writing.
More specifically, representation of minorities. It is important for people to feel represented when they're reading a story, or they want to feel connected to the characters in the story, or feel kind of like connected to what the plot line in the story. So it is important for there to be representation of multiple different minorities in writing.
So it's definitely important to not only have the majority types of people in your stories, but it's also a lot of pressure on a character. Like, say you feature one gay character, for example, for them to represent every single gay person out there, because all gay people are going to be different. I mean, just people are different in general, no matter what demographic of a person you have. Every person in that demographic is going to be slightly different because they are a unique and beautiful individual. So you can't really just have, because you have this kind of character in your story, that they're going to be accurately representative of every single person out there that is also part of that demographic. And so it's not really fair to, maybe read a story, like say if I were to read a book and I'm like, well, that woman is nothing like me, therefore that is a bad writer who misrepresented all women everywhere just because they wrote a woman who was nothing like me.
I feel like most people will fall under some type of minority group, whether that be their gender identity or their racial identity or their social class. Most people are going to fall under some kind of minority demographic. So with that being said, it kind of goes back to putting people into little boxes. If you consider all women are like this, then you're putting all women in a little box saying they should be represented like this, whereas there's lots of sub-minorities within that.
Yeah, there's like lots of other aspects to a person that your demographic does not define you.
No.
That is not who you are. That is part of who you are, a way that you can identify with other people who are similar to you, but it is not who you are. But that being said, there is a such thing as very, very poor representation of a minority. If you have like all white people, for example, and you have one villain and they're the only person who is not white, that might say something about the way you see people who aren't white, and that might be something about your subconscious that you want to take a look at, if that is literally the only not white person you have in there and they're evil, or even if they're like the stupid funny character or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with having a villain who is maybe black or Asian. Like, anybody can be evil, but that shouldn't be the only black or Asian character in your book, because that really has very, very strong implications that you see that demographic as being evil.
And it takes away from the connection of the characters, because having multiple different types of races or gender identities or anything like that, you want people to feel connected to your writing. So for example, if your only gay character in your story is just the butt of the jokes, just the funny gay best friend, they're going to be a less dimensional character. First of all, people are going to
feel just poor writing, right? Flat characters. Like that.
And your readers are not going to feel as connected to that character. And I see that a lot, where there's like that token gay character. A lot more often they have like either a sad ending or they're just funny. They're just a comic relief. And to just reiterate, it's important for people to feel connected to your writing.
And that doesn't mean necessarily you can't have a character that has like maybe an aspect that is thought of as stereotypical, like a damsel in distress maybe. You can still have a character who is in distress and she's a damsel, as long as there are other aspects to her that is not all she is. If that is her only character, if she's just in the story to be saved, then she is a one-dimensional character, and you're not really representing women very well. But if, maybe she's also a painter, maybe she also likes this, maybe she's in distress because she's not really much of a fighter, but she's not so much in distress when she's in another situation, like maybe she's negotiating things with diplomats or something, because she has other things that she is good at. She has some strengths, she has some weaknesses, she has depth to her and more breadth to who she is as a person. And it just kind of goes back to people are not defined by one thing, and your characters really need to reflect that. They really need to have
multi-dimensional.
Yeah, a lot of more depth.
Having multiple representation of variety of characters and variety of minority representation is important in your book. It doesn't necessarily mean, or in your writing, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to always write, include everybody in every single thing that you write. You're not going to necessarily have to do that. But the most important thing is to have multi-dimensional characters and to have some kind of variety, so that people can feel connected to your writing.
But we also would like to know what you think. So put in the comments whether or not you feel books have enough representation. Do you have any examples of instances where this might have been done well?
If you want to see more videos like this, we come out with new videos every week.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. I am Taryn_Tyler_author.
And I'm Hallie_Tyler.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye! Yes.
Hello! We always say
Yes, please.
I'm sitting down. A little bit
So basically, in conclusion, I don't know where I was going with that. I had a thought, and then it went away.